Hello and welcome to Dr. Shiny Tarot. This is a daily pick a card reading for December 10th, which is Thursday. The purpose of this reading is to give you just a brief piece of advice or to help guide your overall focus for the day. And if you're looking for a longer, more detailed reading, please check out my channel. I do many other readings, including monthly readings for each star sign, full moon readings, and love readings. If you are new to pick a card readings, the way this works is that you will choose from one of the three piles here, and then click on the timestamp in the description to skip ahead to the reading you've selected. If you feel compelled to choose more than one card, that is totally fine. Please follow your intuition. There is likely to be advice that's good for you in each reading, even if one of the piles is more accurate than the others. I have also added 3 crystals to aid in your selection. In this case, we have Angelite, which is a nice, mildly colored blue stone. Then this is Serpentine, or sometimes called Serpentinite. Very wicked looking color there. And then this is Crazy Lace Agate, which has all kinds of cool patterns in it. So those are your choices. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 30 seconds of silence so you can meditate if you want and choose a stone. When you have a stone in mind, go ahead and find the timestamp for your choice in the description below. So we're going to go ahead and start the 30 seconds right now. Okay, so if you have not already done so, please go ahead and choose your card and skip down to the description for the timestamp corresponding to your selection. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started with card number 1 with Angelite. If you chose Angelite, your reading is the 8 of Swords, the 6 of Wands crossing, and 7 of Cups. Okay, so the 8 of Swords here suggests that you feel a little bit trapped in this situation, or kind of like there's no way out, there's only one way to be, a little bit stuck. So it's important to note with this card that you aren't actually stuck. You are doing this kind of by choice. It's not as though you're on a ride you can't really get off. You have an ability to step out of this situation, but you have kind of talked yourself into thinking that you don't have a choice, or you forgot that you have a choice. Sometimes you're kind of burying your head in the sand a little bit, but other times it's more of a just you get on this pattern or momentum in life where you're doing the same thing. You're going to the same job every day, and you may hate it, you complain about it, but you don't really look for new jobs. You don't put out your resume or that kind of thing. So it's like you feel sort of stuck in the situation, but you're not really. You just aren't doing what's necessary to get out of the situation. And so what's crossing you here is the 6 of Wands. And the 6 of Wands is, it's a card of accomplishment. So crossing you in this situation, it may be that whatever drives you to sort of remain in this situation that you're stuck in is this latent feeling of not deserving more, or not feeling successful enough, not feeling like you've accomplished what you want to or what you need to. So it just may be that, you might be working toward your goals, but you just might not be getting there as fast as you want to. And there could be some things that you're doing that make that so. So it's not necessarily that the situation doesn't serve you completely. I'm not seeing that because there is a degree of success, or the Six of Wands wouldn't really even show up, right? So something is going well, but it's just that you're feeling or thinking that things are not really going as well as they are. And the six crossing you here is inviting you to connect with what you're intending to get out of this situation. Don't let your emotions get the best of you, and don't get too frustrated to where you forget why you're in the situation in the first place, because it may be that the situation is really actually serving you, but you're just not seeing it that way. For your advice, you have this Seven of Cups, and this card indicates that there may be different choices or options available to you, but none of them are really a great choice. None of them are a great option. So, the way that I'm taking, and it's kind of like everything has like a little bit of a downside to it. So this is, some people always see the grass is greener on the other side of the fence and that kind of thing. But when you get to the other side, there is always a realization that there are drawbacks to every single situation. So I think what this is asking you to do is to remember that these feelings of being trapped, being discontent, or feeling like the situation is oppressive or unbearable, it's really not necessarily that way, but your thinking might make it feel that way. So you may be constantly fixated on why you have to do what you're doing, instead of looking at it as, well, I'm choosing to do this. I'm choosing to go to work. I'm choosing to be in this situation, whatever it is. And so if you kind of look at it from that other perspective of you're choosing to do something, or like, let's take recent events. If you have a local mandate that is restrictive and you don't really like it, if you tend to fixate on the part of it where you're being forced to do something that you don't want, it feels a lot worse. But if you look around you, there are people who want to follow those mandates, and they seem to be quite a bit happier. And you can say, oh, well, they're naive or whatnot, but at a certain point, just managing the way that you approach a situation is managing your own emotional mood, managing the way that you handle the situation, especially when there's nothing that you can do about it. If it's out of your control, what you can do is change the way that you look at it. And acceptance has a way of changing the nature of things. So if you can remember that and kind of adjust your focus to feel as though the current situation isn't unbearable, but it's something that you've chosen to bear because there's some particular benefit that you're getting from it, then it makes the whole thing a little bit easier. Now, maybe you're not benefiting from the situation, and then the only thing that's really holding you back is making that choice, or relying on yourself, having the self-confidence to move on. So either way, it is up to you, and there's definitely some action here that's available to you, but you're just not seeing it because you're kind of caught in your head about this. So that pretty much does it for that. Find a way to break through the noise in your head a little bit, and to figure out what exactly is in your ability to do, and that'll help you move through that situation. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to card number 2. Card number 2, the Serpentinite, or Serpentine. This is for you. Okay, so you have the 10 of Cups in the reverse, and the Hanged Man crossing. And then for your advice card, the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so 10 of Cups, in the upright position, it's happily ever after, a really fulfilled relationship or fulfilling relationship where everything is kind of going the way that you want. It's the fairy tale. In the in the reverse, it's a little bit more of kind of like wanting that and you were moving toward that, but it just is not really happening. It's kind of delayed, or there's things that are standing in the way. It almost feels, this is a really frustrating one sometimes, because it almost feels like there's just like a little grain of sand. Like, I think when I was about 6 years old, I came up with this metaphor, but it's like you're building a puzzle, a jigsaw puzzle, and you got all the pieces together, and then there's one last piece to put in the puzzle to complete it. But in that spot, there's like a little grain of sand or a little rock there. And you try to push the piece in and it just pops back out. And it's like no matter what you do, you can't get that one little piece in to complete the picture, right? So there's something kind of standing in the way or irritating a little bit about not being able to really pull this together the way that you want. And you're close, right? It's like elements of this are feeling good, but then there's like almost an equal feeling of disappointment that it is not perfect, that it is not exactly what you're looking for. So that can be a little bit discouraging, and it's a tough mindset to have. It's hard on you because in reality, when you look at all that you have, there's a lot of tremendous benefits to the situation. But if you fixate on those little things that are not right, it's very irritating, and it really kind of puts a damper on the whole situation. Now, what's crossing you is this Hanged Man. Hanged Man is about feeling a little bit trapped, or not necessarily trapped, but stagnant, that you can't really do anything about it, that you can't move on. You're sometimes feeling like a little bit of a victim of circumstances, or bored even. Sometimes it can be boredom, or in relation to this situation, I'd say that it may be that you have a limited number of options, or you may have like made some sort of a commitment already, but things are just kind of not going the way that you want them to. But it's possible that things are not bad enough that you feel like you want to break that situation off. So you're kind of maybe staying in this little limbo where, yes, things could be good, but they're not exactly what they should be. But you're also not really to the point where you want to end things. So it's just a little bit of like a ick factor here. There's a little bit of a frustration with the stagnation that's going on, and with things not being quite what you want. So what you have in your advice card here is this Wheel of Fortune. So this is a reminder, really, that the universe has a way of putting things to you in sort of random assortment. You very rarely just get exactly what's in your head, but you end up getting elements of it. And so throughout life, it's like there's this temptation to kind of get off the wheel, so to speak, at any point, and take what you've got. You don't want to constantly be looking for better and better, and meanwhile, like, life passes you by and you never get anything because you've been kind of chasing after this egoic desire of having things perfect instead of accepting what the universe provides and going with the flow, which has a little bit. It has a way of making you more content, right? But it would, because you're choosing to be more content with what you have. Now, it is dangerous in some situations because you may settle, and settling is not good, right? Which is where you're taking something you're not crazy about, or you don't feel like you want to make the choice. But you do have to get to a point of, I think, really just maturity, where you realize that not all of the pieces are going to be perfect, and that you have to kind of make the best of what you have, so there's a balance there. There's a balance that has to occur, and it's a difficult lesson of maturity, honestly, to find that balance between settling and becoming realistic with your expectations. But what this is going to mean is that that it's kind of a hard lesson to get over, but if you don't get over it, you're kind of just thrown through the ringer over and over and over again. And some people like it, some people have fun, but if you're going to do it, make sure you're doing it consciously, and make sure that you don't start getting too cynical about how things go, or feeling as though you're being picked on by the universe or your higher power, whoever that is. It's not necessary to feel that way. The way out of that is with feelings of gratitude for whatever you do receive, whatever comes your way. Feeling like everything has to go your way is a sure way to feeling discontent and feeling, some general negative, cynical ideas about the world. So there is a path forward here for you to feel better about this situation, and that is really to focus on those good aspects, those aspects that bring you closer to that Ten of Cups. And what's ironic here is really that's what's missing from the situation. It's not the individual elements of what you imagine are missing, and that's preventing you from reaching this Ten of Cups energy. What the missing element is your gratefulness and your or gratitude, and your acceptance of the situation. So if you get more into that aspect of what's going on, you very likely will see this Ten of Cups kind of invert. You'll see it become more of that happily ever after energy. But it's about kind of adjusting the image in your head to be something that is possible in reality. A lot of times we want everything to be this certain way, but we don't realize that what we're asking for is not possible within the reality that we inhabit. And that's a difficult spot to be in, because you never want to give up your dreams or your hopes or things like that. And I don't suggest that you do, only that you focus more on another part of life if that starts to get you down. And that's what this wheel is telling you to do as well. So that's about it for card number 2. So we are now going to go ahead and move on to deck number 3 with the Crazy Lace Agate. So if you chose deck number 3, your card is 6 of Coins. I believe that came up yesterday. And then the Queen of Wands crossing, and the 2 of Coins. Okay. So, your 6 of Coins here usually has like 2 possible meanings. But in the context of these other cards, I'm kind of feeling like it's one of those in particular. So, you can't, it can either mean that you're giving, because you see there's one figure here that's being a little bit charitable. He's giving to the like beggars. Or it could be that you're receiving. So I feel strongly that in this case it's more focused on the giving. But I will go back before the end and give you the alternate interpretation if you are in the more of the receiving end of things. So in what I'm feeling most strongly, it's the 6 of Cups, the 6 of Coins, meaning that you have like an abundance, and it's not necessarily just of money. It could be of time or concern or compassion. You have this abundance, and you are open to kind of sharing it with people, and you're spreading it a little bit. You're not being greedy by any means. You are interested in giving or having some sort of a charity project where you're helping others. And it could be anything. It could be you're involved in, political volunteering or medical. It could be that you're even, helping animals like ASPCA or something like that. In any case, you're involved in something. It may also be that you're just the go-to person for advice or to get a compassionate listening ear, that kind of thing. So it's a giving energy, right? And so what's crossing you is the Queen of Wands here. This can mean that you're possibly having a little bit of trouble, sticking to what you need to accomplish. That things are a little difficult for you to remain focused and to get all the things that you need done. And it has this way. The queen is asking to very carefully judge your time. She's not lazy at all, and that's not even a problem for her. In the crossing position here, the problem would be that there may be a lot of people asking for your help. There may be a lot of people who are asking you to get involved in their particular projects, and you don't have time for it all. So there's a need to sort of delegate and to be a little bit more efficient with your action, or to work smarter, not harder, is what comes up. And it's not the Queen of Swords, right? So this isn't this isn't only about intelligence or anything like that. This is really more about just like figuring out how to most efficiently use your efforts to get things done. And your advice card here is this Two of Coins, which means it's very, very closely associated with like work-life balance, like a healthy work-life balance. This guy is juggling the 2 coins very skillfully while dancing around and whatnot. So it's not a feeling of being over-encumbered, so you don't want to take on too many projects. Saying no is okay, and that's part of the Queen of Wands' mastery, is her ability to not take on too much and to focus on what she can accomplish effectively. So this is asking you to remember that sort of work-life balance, to remember that you can't pour from an empty cup. So if you're in this sort of giving position or this charitable position, that's wonderful, that's great, but you have to remember to focus on yourself too, and on your life, and have a little bit more, compassion for yourself. And it's all about that sort of balance. So I think, carrying that forward, there's no real problem in your situation. You are on a great path. You're on a good path here. But this is really just more about bringing a little bit more fulfillment to yourself by adjusting or balancing out your life a little bit. So take some more time for yourself. And a lot of times you have to just kind of force it. You have to make a decision. I remember, I think it was in the Alice in Wonderland Disney version, where the Mad Hatter or the March Hare, someone said, if you do not take time, how can you ever have time? And that kind of stuck with me from a young age. So that's the energy here. Take some time for yourself. Some meditation will do you well, or just doing whatever you love, relaxing. And that about does it for today's reading. Thank you very much for listening and watching. If you enjoyed, please subscribe or like and leave a comment. I love to talk and answer some comments. So I will see you guys tomorrow for the next daily reading, and have a wonderful evening.